Welcome, everyone, and hello. Welcome to our new episode, HR edition AI in Action. And I'm very happy today to be back with my co host Anastasia and our special guest Katarina, who is an attorney and working on the EU AI Act, actually. And that's what's going to be our episode about today. So I think this is a topic that everyone is interested those days because it is so actual and everyone talking about it. So I'm very, very happy that we have you today, Katarina, as a guest. And I would kindly ask you before we start, please introduce yourself to our listeners. And then we are very much looking forward to the discussion with you.
Thank you so much, Magdalena and Anastasia, for inviting me. It is such an indeed very, very interesting topic, and I love talking about it. And not only talking, but studying about it, working in this field. We are actually creating the new practices, how this thing AI compliance will work out. Because, one thing is the law, the other thing is the practice. So, and the law can be useful only if it's practical, if it works for the technological development and stuff. So yeah, it's such a great moment and a great thing that we're talking about it. I am an attorney at law. I have my own law firm for the last almost 13 years, and I mostly work with startups, and the startups that I worked with have now developed and grown to be a bit bigger companies. So, following them on this road of development. And also I'm working quite a lot with digital entrepreneurs and compliance contracts, mostly international, and now AI have become such an important topic. And since the EU has been the first to put out this comprehensive piece of legislation, such as the EU AI Act, and I am an expert in EU law, so here is the perfect, match. And I also personally adore, I love the technology, and I love development. I love business when things are moving fast, and that's the best thing and field to be working in at the moment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the world of the whole world is going through AI transformation, and especially the world of HR. If we bring it to HR, is also going through a significant transformation because AI tools became increasingly common in our daily operations, whether it's a hiring process or employee development. With the shift, obviously, the European Union, as you said, Katarina, introduced the AI Act. And it's a regulation that is getting everyone's attention right now, and especially in HR community. And for those of us who are working with HR technology and AI tools, this new regulation brings an important changes that we need to understand. So while AI making a lot of processes efficient, also the new regulation aims to ensure that we are using these powerful tools responsibly, especially with impact on people's careers and workplace experience and privacy, obviously, and compliance. So for HR professionals who are navigating this digital transformation, it's crucial to understand what it means to our daily operations and a long-term strategy. So having that in mind, I wonder if you can provide us an overview of the EU AI Act and why it's such a significant regulation for HR.
Yes. Of course, HR is like every field is, but HR in special, like you do use a lot of AI tools, which is of course, you're not gonna write on the writing machine. I don't know if you're old enough to remember, because now we have computers, we have dictation and stuff, and obviously, if there is a tool which will help you do your work faster, then you're going to use it, and if not, you're going to be left behind. So the EU, let's go back to the EU AI Act. it is a bit a paradox that the EU, which does not have these technical giants who are into AI, like OpenAI, Google with its own, like Microsoft, Elon Musk, and all that stuff, has been the first one to launch and to put into force the first comprehensive regulatory framework for artificial intelligence. And its aim is to ensure that AI is used in a safe, transparent, and non-discriminatory manner across all industries, AI, of course, HR, of course, included. And it follows a risk-based approach, classifying AI tools into the famous four categories we are like the pyramid where it's prohibited. This is like concerning the military and stuff, where it's like not allowed, high risk, and limited risk and minimal risk categories. Of course, we're going to concentrate on the high risk because HRs has been classified as high risk. And when it comes to for HR, this is particularly significant because AI is used for for hiring, for employee screening, for interviews, and for workforce management as well. And that's why it is considered to be high risk. So what does that mean for companies, for your HR departments in companies, and how do they have to act to be compliant with the EU AI Act? And that is that they must comply with the strict requirements, which are risk assessments, transparency obligations, human oversight, and bias mitigation measures to avoid legal and financial consequences. I will just mention, not to scare off, but to make people keep in mind that the penalties here are huge. So there is the numbers which were thrown out probably for the biggest companies are $35 million fines, $35 million fines, or 7% of the yearly revenue worldwide. So, there are probably for some companies, 35 million will be just a little fraction if they are fined with 7%, because probably their 7% is higher than 35 million. But still, nobody wants to, lose that amount due to
what would that mean?
non-compliance.
How would they? Can you give us maybe an example of that? So, in which situation would that occur? Because, let's be honest, sometimes a lot of us write an email to we use AI to write an email to a colleague, and that's already going external. That's already non-compliant, actually. Is that or not? For example, if I work for a big company and a colleague wrote me an email, I would like to reply quickly. I don't want to think. I just ask, an AI engine to do it for me. Is that then, it's going externally already?
Absolutely truth. And of course, as I said, like the typing machine, of course you're going to use and everybody's going to use, but there are some like we said, the requirements which are needed to be respected in order to because, as we said, we go back when the always in law school and legal things, always we watch into what the legislator had in mind when they brought the act. So they wanted, how did we say? They wanted that that the AI Act is safe, transparent, and non-discriminatory. So that it's used in these three manners. So going back to our field, HR, if for example, sending the email, in my opinion, if you checked if it had human oversight, then the AI ChatGPT or whichever you're using wrote the email, but you checked, so it's fine because the human checked, you approved, so it comes from you. So, for example, if I wrote something for the court and nobody's going to ask me, like I will be liable for what it says. They are not going to ask me if I wrote on the writing machine, if I wrote on the computer, if I dictated. But the fact is that it's my signature. It comes from my email. It confirms that it has been oversighted
Okay.
by a human,
Okay.
myself. You know, these things, I think the practice will show, because I don't think that there will be like some AI police going over, emails. When the problems
Yes.
occur, when some damage happens. So let's say this email, whether it was suggested by an AI tool and you just clicked send, or it was sent automatically, if nobody was hurt in this process, and if it was used safe, transparent, and with human oversight, then no problem. But if the AI tool sends some thing which is not coherent with what you wanted to say, or and then we are talking about
and what about, for example,
issues.
if somebody takes a company report, and in order to and that's it's a confidential information, I suppose, and then in order not to read 40 pages, they ask ChatGPT to summarize it. Nobody gets hurt, but then that information goes into the abyss of the internet. Is How is that from the EU Act perspective?
Okay, the big processors like ChatGPT, I'm not favoring ChatGPT, so but some GPT. Yeah, just an example. There are Gemini, Perplexity.
We are not working with open source, so this is not.
They all have
no affiliate marketing here.
We're not. They're gonna like call us for like advertising. There is Claude as well, so yeah, not to forget. When you go into these tools, they have a privacy policy. You need to go in the settings. I can show that now. It's not time, but you could check it yourself easily. And then there is privacy policy, and you can click, I do not want my data to be used for compute
training
to feed
purposes,
the AI database. And then so then it doesn't go into the abyss of the internet, because I also find it a bit
DeepSeek.
now this
from
is
China.
DeepSeek. How is it called? The Chinese. Yeah. And they are like some company, let's not mention, is now like feeling offended that this company has used their data, which they took without approval. I mean, this is going to be so interesting to follow, because we took everything first, but now you cannot use it because we already took it. So it's a bit like, but those are like on really high levels, and these decisions will be political. We should stick, to our own, but we are living like this is going to be super interesting. So regarding this like company, how a company is doing, you think like company reports profits, expenses and stuff, you take it out from, I don't know,
from an LLM,
a company which provides this, and you take it and you put it into a GPT, and then it analyzes it, and you wouldn't want it to remember the data that it was working with. Well, go into settings, check the privacy, and click not use.
Okay, that's very important to know.
Yes. Claude, but you then again, check. I really advise you to check the main numbers, because sometimes these ChatGPT or GPTs go crazy. Like some really easy things which you would never think that they can get wrong, they sometimes do get wrong. So you're like, check yourself. Well, I mean, I do that. Check the numbers, and if it, because if you sign that you put your human oversight on that document, and then it's
It's
like
called,
weird,
I think
or
what you want to mention, it is called
it's going to be,
hallucination. So this is when the tools start to hallucinate. They come up with some type of false information or information that is incomplete or even information that could harm someone. So if we are thinking about recruitment, for example, just to take this
yes,
example and to speak about HR here, then I think the EU AI Act also wants to make sure that the employer also takes care of the candidates or the employees and that the AI tool is not harming someone. So, for example, if a company is using an AI tool for recruitment, for screening, and sending out, for example, automated rejection emails, then those emails shouldn't harm the candidate. I mean, imagine what catastrophe it would be if the tool would write something like, we are not hiring you because of your, I don't know, ethnicity, for example. So I'm exaggerating right now, but those things could happen. And I believe this is also the
yes,
reason why the EU AI Act wants to make sure and has flagged HR as high risk, because they want to make sure that no one gets harmed in the process. And HR is working with sensitive data, basically with the most sensitive data, taking care of all the personal
of
information.
course,
I mean, if you think about it, if you and I apply for a job, we send out our CV, and the CV is full of our personal information, plus not only information about myself, but also my address. I mean, my children live there as well. So if we are thinking about everything that could
absolutely,
happen,
yes,
actually the EU is right. They are protecting us in a way. So it's a good thing to do. But I have another question, Katarina, just to come back to the legal
absolutely,
implications. And you have mentioned it
yes,
already that companies can face like those huge fines if they are not taking care about the compliance when it comes to the EU AI Act. So how can actually HR leaders take care about that these things are not going to happen? What is the right way to take care of the compliance within the company when it comes to, we will just stick to those HR AI tools?
yeah. Okay, so going back to connecting the aim and the will of the legislator to this specific field in HR, like what the HR leaders must ensure is transparency. So the employees must know when AI is used. So if in the screening process you will be using, or interviews, you will be using AI, as they must know that the employees, the candidates, they must know that it's their whom they are talking with. Like especially if it's interviews, then if it's like automatic replies and stuff, these things, like for some things are even obvious, but now it needs to be pointed out, like this, like we are using uh, okay, then another thing is like we said, but this makes it quite
Very important.
human oversight. If you have to, yes, but it cannot make decisions. AI cannot make decisions without human oversight. So, like you said, for the email, for some easy tasks and stuff, if you still have to go, and check everything, then but there is still like where is the help? But when before, you have to stand behind the data
Yes.
you acquired thanks to AI. So you need to go and oversight it, not to write it all yourself, but to stand behind the things. It's a tool. It's not like another, decision making. Only
Yes. So this
humans,
would
for
mean
now,
basically
can make
if there is
decisions.
a AI tool involved for the recruitment process and it is screening the candidates, it is providing you like a long list or a short list of candidates, it still requires, based on the EU AI Act, that a human actually double checks those results and then flags it as if, okay, this was, checked by a
Yes.
human again, and this is how we are going to proceed, if I got you correct. Okay. And I have another.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
I have another
The
question that
human
just
needs
came
to
to my
stand
mind.
behind.
So,
Yes.
I have been working with some clients like bigger companies that have implemented AI tools, and usually those bigger companies, they are doing those compliance checks with their own legal department that they already have in-house. And those legal experts usually, collaborate with external legal experts that are specialized like you on the EU AI Act to make sure that
I
everything
know
is
that.
compliant. But what happens now if there is a company that doesn't have any legal department and they want to adopt an AI tool? Does the AI tool provider has to be the one advising on the legal aspect, or is it still the responsibility of the company that is adopting the tool to find someone who is advising them legally? Who is in charge there?
What an interesting question. Like, love it. Future will tell, but in my experience, which is not long because it's the practice. I have been studying this for a lot of time, but now we'll see the on the battlefield. What will happen. In my opinion, I would prefer, if I was the company, to get an external legal who would put them through the compliance with the assessments, with the inputs and stuff, because there is another thing, and this legal should be working closely with the company that provided them
Makes
the AI tool, because the legal, normally we do not have such a huge technical knowledge. But some lawyers, I can speak for myself, I can say that I have the IT literacy, of course, not on the level of a programmer, of an IT developer. But during the years, I have developed a very a language where you can understand. I ask questions and they tell me the facts, how the practical technical tool is working, and then I check whether it is okay or not. So we work very closely. But if you want to have an unbiased, because of course the AI tool company, so to say, the provider, will be a bit biased because they it's their, so if you want, I would add an external legal and not only legal, but on the field. Like, for example, you are in HR, so it would be for a huge company to check if their AI tools in HR have been used correctly. So it's best to take the specialist in HR and AI,
wow.
legal, and the tool
That's a very,
provider.
very good advice,
That's how
because
I
if it
would do
comes
it.
to using the
Yes.
tool, then the tool needs to be fed
Yeah.
by data. And the data usually comes from the HR department, because
Yes.
how other should it work with? And it's actually the
Yes.
responsibility of the HR department, or let's say general of the company. It is the company's responsibility to take care of their own data and also to clean up the data, because before they actually feed the AI tool with, because the data might be biased. And then on top, they should have a legal expert who can look into
Exactly.
everything that the AI tool is providing and then say, okay, this is compliant with the EU AI Act or not.
Yes.
Okay, wow, that's very interesting.
Yes. That is the practice which has shown to be the best, because the best, you need the results. You don't need
Yes.
you need to be sure, as sure as you can be, because we know that nothing is 100% sure, but this is the closest to the best results and the best advice on how to proceed. as
Perfect.
warriorless as possible.
So, Katerina, now that we understand the broader implications of the EU AI Act, many HR leaders who are listening to the podcast at later point in time will be asking the practical question: where do we actually start? So, imagine we have a company with HR leaders, and they are thinking, of implementing AI tools, just at the precipice of it. And what are the first steps? So, from your experience with other companies, could you give us an advice actually to all the HR leaders? What would be the first steps an HR leader should take to ensure that the AI tools and processes are compliant with the European Union AI Act?
Yes, great and such a useful question. And so, what first thing is, you cannot work on something you don't know what it is. So first is education. You have companies have brilliant lawyers, brilliant legal departments, but they are not conscious of what's going, they're not so much into, because they don't have time. They draft contracts and stuff. So the first thing, they educate their legal department or their legal officer. It doesn't, it depends on the how big the company is. First thing is educate. Like, what do we need? You can then the second thing is to if the things that they don't know, so they find out which are the weak points. So let's say we are the legal department from a huge company, and we want to sort out our AI, our HR processes. So we introduce, do we have enough knowledge ourselves? No. Let's consult a legal expert on AI, and especially AI Act, EU AI Act. Okay, we go through it together. We find out which are the weak points. Can we sort out the weak points ourselves? 2 yes, 3 not. Okay, let's introduce the external legal expert who will teach us and who will help us handle these things, so that we ensure that our processes are correct, and that are done in the way which is compliant with the EU AI Act. So, in my opinion, and what I saw till now, this is how the companies are doing it.
Fantastic. And then also speaking, because you mentioned AI literacy earlier, and you also said, for example, you don't have a technical background.
Yes.
I don't have a technical background. Anastasia doesn't have a technical background. We are all coming from different backgrounds, but we still have the AI literacy because of training, because of self-learning, because of education, you name it, right? So I also know that the EU AI Act, in order to match up with his compliance and everything that is requiring to HR, has also stated that it is actually obligatory for companies to train their staff on the usage of the AI tools. Is that correct? Just like I said it, or is there something more to go?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, here is my Bible, the EU AI Act, and I think it's Article 4,
Wow.
AI literacy, and I'm consulting it every day. So AI literacy, providers and deployers of AI systems shall take measures to ensure at their best extent a sufficient level of AI literacy to their staff and other persons dealing with the operation. So it's a must. Yes.
Maybe stop it for now, and then
part. And what is the AI literacy? It's knowing about AI. And according to Article 4 of the EU AI Act, providers and deployers of AI systems shall take measures. That doesn't mean it's they can decide whether yes or not. Shall, it means they must. They must take measures to ensure, to their best extent, a sufficient level of AI literacy of their staff and other persons dealing with the operation and use of AI systems on their behalf.
This
So
comes back to the discussion where so many people are always asking, is it the employer's responsibility or is it the employee's responsibility to gain knowledge on AI? And now it is stated and written down in the EU AI Act that it is the employer's responsibility to train the staff on AI tools and on AI literacy and how it is used, which means the employer needs to invest also in those trainings. They basically have.
So, as we said, according to Article 4 of the EU AI Act, it is an obligation of the employers who are a stronger part, not a weaker part, like the employees. They have the obligation to provide AI literacy for their staff and for the people who are using AI tools, of course, in their company name. So
Fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
and employees on their own, which is another story. They, of course, they will be literate because they do want to know what is going on, because it's an like also a general knowledge to know at least some basics of AI. So, but
Yes.
that is another story. The employers, they have the obligation according to Article 4.
Got you. Got you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Katerina. So let's look a little bit into the future. We know that EU AI Act just it's been released only a year ago, so it's very fresh, and there is more to evolve, obviously. But I imagine that some HR leaders are already looking about what comes next. So we know that this AI Act marks just the beginning, not the end, of AI regulation in the workplace. And as technology continues to evolve quite rapidly, and our understanding of implications of AI deepens, we can expect that regulatory framework will be evolving as well. So there will be probably more regulations to come. And being proactive rather than reactive, it will be key to maintaining both compliance and competitive advantage. So here is a bit of a forward-looking question. What do you think HR departments need to do to stay ahead with future AI regulations or updates on European Union AI Act?
Yes, this is such a. I like this question because I like when we talk about the future, and the best future will happen if we help create it, right? So there is like technical development, which is super important, which brings like all the blessings of being technically developed. But we should not underestimate that we are humans and that there are some rights and some things which are typical for us which we should protect. So there should be a balance between the development and staying and protecting the human. And companies and their HR departments will play a huge role. And in my opinion, in the future, maybe some companies which will be deploying, which will be investing more into fair and ethical AI, and hence with that the literacy for their HR departments will have more success with their employees, because if even if you are stricter on the AI control part, compliance part, which would make you maybe invest more in training your staff. But then what is the aim of the employer? To get the best employees. And if I go to work with a company for which I know, okay, they are using top of the game AI tools, but then there are, like, for example, Anastasia, Magdalena, who are checking those things and they really care about me as a human, I would prefer to go to work with that kind of company, not where I'm just like a number who is not even aware that the human is checking me. So, in my opinion, future will tell, but this technological popularity, or how to say, like euphoria, will will stop, and then we will like go back to the main human values, of course taking in consideration and using top of the game AI tool. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that companies who invest the most into put using the tools in the most transparent, safe, and human oversight way will be the companies who will get the best employees. That's my opinion.
That's a beautiful quote, Katarina, and thank you so much for this. I mean, wow, this was such an interesting discussion. And there are so many other points we haven't even covered yet. I think we need to have like a second session on this topic because it's so interesting. We also wanted to talk about shadow AI. What about employees using tools the employer is not aware of? Then, Anastasia, you mentioned it, the competitive advantage. And how does a company actually ensure to be innovative, but also not to have any problems with, on the side of the EU AI Act? Then on top, we also wanted to speak about policies and what those policies should look like, also in HR, how the policies need to be written, etc., etc. There is so much more we actually would like to cover. So I think we will have a second recording. But for
Very
today,
glad.
I would like to thank you. I would really, really like to thank you, Katerina. Your insights are absolutely invaluable, and I think our listeners will absolutely enjoy this episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Magdalena and Anastasia. It was a pleasure. I adore this topic. I love it. Really, it's and let's create the future together. Like,
Yeah, let's contribute to it. Indeed. Yeah.
yes, well, what we can co-create. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.